I've got great news to share with you this Saturday as it appears the bleeding in crypto has stopped and the rally can continue. Big victories in regards to the SEC. And speaking of the SEC, Ripple sent them a nasty letter. We're going to talk XRP price along with...
I say lots of naughty things, so here's your warning.
Yes, I do have good news. In fact, I have several items of good news, and look how happy the man on the camera is. But before we get into that good news, your comments come first. Hot, spicy, naughty, relevant. Maybe I'll share it beginning of the next video. Benjamin Moritz dropping some support on the channel. Thank you. Well, thank you, sir, and you're very welcome. I'm happy to bring you the news every day, including the weekend. Trick hanging out with us. How about them Buffalo, kind sir, dropping support on the channel as well. Thank you, sir. Says, thanks for your honesty and your humor, sir. That's right. If you want to know exactly how I feel, unedited about the crypto market, that video, it's linked up below. ZH Fike says, I would bet the real world asset and ETF buys are going to be over the counter, so they keep the price low and consequently screw retail. I'm so tired of all the OTC BS. Finistaval says, if I see another melting face, I'm going to do a little bit more than cry. You mean grown men will cry? Oh, it's so cringy. Bitcoin's hitting at 84,578. ETH is 1998. XRP at 239. We're going to talk price-wise at the end because got some good news for you. Sol at 138 at 71. Pi's at $1. Loser. And XLM's at 27.7. Australia seeks to position itself as the global crypto leader. Where have we heard this story before? How about in the United States? The Australian Treasury has announced that it's collaborating with the digital asset industry regulators and the broader community to position the country as a leader in the global digital asset ecosystem. The Treasury stated that its approach will help the industry identify opportunities, managers, protect customers, and uphold market integrity. Now, I'm sharing this because we are seeing some countries take this a little bit more seriously. In fact, some players out there are actually doing a real strategic reserve, and some players out there are moving forward with regs. So go Aussies. In a statement, the Australian Treasury said that this initiative not only aligns the country with international best practices, but also makes the digital asset sector more competitive. And it's very important to see that this isn't just about crypto prices, but it's also about crypto jobs and the economy that can come with it. These are very high-paying jobs, and these are very highly profitable companies that pay lots of taxes. So countries want that action on their shores. All right, first big victory for us. Torn gains 100% after U.S. delists Tornado Cash from sanctions list. Okay, we saw this from the Ofac. Okay, now, the deal is this. There was some government overreach saying, hey, if you use Tornado Cash, you're a criminal. There's a lot of reasons you would want anonymity. I don't want the government to know everything that I do, and guess what? The government doesn't tell me everything that they do. So girlfriend, if you want to know what I'm doing with my money, I should know what you're doing with your money. On March 21st, the U.S. Treasury delisted Tornado Cash, a crypto mixer, and this is a good delisting. Delisting from sanctions, not from trading, from its sanctions list. As expected, market insiders hailed the update as another regulatory win. This is what Brian Armstrong said. No one wants to see bad folks use crypto, but privacy is an important feature for many law-abiding citizens, and you can't sanction open source code. It's a free speech issue. Glad to see this fixed. I am in 100% agreement with it. Because you know what? It seems like the government just wanted to ban everything if they couldn't control it. But now the tides are turning. Speaking of the tides turning, more good news. Are you ready for it? Bitcoin ETFs record nearly 1 billion in inflows. Check this out, all right? I've got the inflows up on the screen along with every article you see in this video. It's all linked in the description below. Over the last 30 days, you can see it. Big boy outflows. And then these last several days, we went neutral, and now we're going into the inflows. And here's the 30-day chart of it up on the screen so you can see what it looks like on the near term. Bleeding, moving to neutral, moving to inflows. Now let's swing it out to the year. Check this out. Inflows, 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 neutral, bleeding, and now we're turning things around. And I love to see that kind of action. We also can look at the crypto market cap where we see that as well. We hit a bottom here, on March 10th, but since then we've been clawing our way back on up. So is the bleeding over? Can the rally continue? Well, I'll tell you what's going to continue. The rubbing of the SEC's face in the dirt. Gary Gensler's SEC. Ripple to the SEC, staking yield mechanisms are not securities. That's right, no more government overreach. In its statement to the agency, Ripple stated, for clarity and consistency, the commission should confirm that staking and yield generating arrangements, depending on programmatic functioning of a public permissionless network that does not involve a definable issuer counterparty making investment commitments, are not securities. Basically saying, look, we're using smart contracts. Does that necessarily mean they're securities? Look, we're using staking and yield where you're generating some income on there and the income isn't tied directly to a person. Is that a security? No, girlfriend. They continue to say such arrangements do not involve an investment with a definable counterparty, unlike traditional securities, which are premised on a contractual agreement between the investor and the issuer who undertakes managerial efforts to generate profits. It's true. So when you buy your stock, okay, of some of your favorites out there, you're buying it because you're hoping for the price to go up, because the company of the stock that you're buying for, you hope that they do something juicy to make your shit worthwhile. What Brad and SEC haters now, haters of the Gensler C Ripple are saying is, look, when people buy XRP, they're not relying upon Ripple to make the price go up. Interesting. Stuart Alderati's got us covered, and listen to this. He says, today Ripple submitted its response to the Commissioner Hesse Pierce's 21st statement that there must be some way out of here. Sing the lyrics for me. The Dylan lyric continues, there's too much confusion, I can't get no relief. The prior administration thrived on confusion to mask its failure to follow the law. We urge the SEC's Crypto Task Force to stay focused, return to first principles, stay within statutory bounds, and finally bring relief through clarity. Because remember, one of the other big problems we had out there was players were like, okay, Gary, how do we register with the SEC? And Gary would be like, yo, it's really easy. You just got to fill out this form. They're like, okay, where's this form? He's like, I'm not going to tell you. They're like, okay, well, what are the rules to the form? Well, we're not going to tell you that either. And they're like, what, but Gary, we want to be compliant. He's like, oh, yeah, it's easy to be compliant. You just got to fill out the form. It was a big, big circle jerk. Now let's talk XRP price. We're sitting at 238, and look what happens when I zoom out at the month. Again, March 10th, it appears to be the lows, sub $2 action, and now we're getting a movement on the way up. Are we getting the juicy uppercase P pumperoni where we go into the $3 zone? No. Are we holding on to 250 as we've gotten the news from Brad Garlinghouse and crew regarding the SEC caving in? No. But we're up from the lows of March 10th. And that coincides heavily with this chart right here showing us, yep, up from the lows on March 10th. And then when we go from the ETF products, it shows us the same thing. So this is a big zoomed out picture of the market. And when you zoom in, you're seeing the players heavily affected by this stuff, XRP with the SEC, rebounding as well. Now, volume is very, very low. 2.18 billion. I know it's the weekend, but we're getting down there, everyone. We're getting kind of low volume levels like what we saw before the election. 2.18 billion last 24 hours, down 50%. Now let's take a look at those candlesticks, see where I've got my alert set up to let me know if I need to start paying attention to the news again. And as you can see, when we go to the 50-minute candlestick, a little bit of a boring zone here over the last 36 hours. I'm at 245 on the high side on my alerts, and I really want to know if we breach 230. We haven't seen 230 since late in the 19th, so that would be good for us to hold that momentum further up north. Yes, I see what's up on the screen right now, and that is that the market seems to be losing its interest in regards to the SEC Brad Garlinghouse announcement. It's clear as day, right? We pumped to 259.9 and have since pretty much lost its luster. No, that's not the good news, I know. The good news, though, is it appears to be that the March 10th low is holding for the entire market. We've got good news from the SEC. We've got good news regarding institutional players out there that are starting to gobble up crypto again. We're seeing inflows in other products, and we're seeing a floor created. Okay, so that's definitely good news for the crypto markets. Now, some of you have been asking, hey, why isn't Ripple dropping their appeal against the SEC? Because you've got the SEC dropping their appeal against Ripple, but Ripple is like, yo, girlfriend, we're still going after you. Well, here's why. Ripple wants to make sure that every stone is not just like untouched, right? They want to go after everything. They're like, hey, you went after us for X, Y, and Z. Well, guess what? We're going to go after you now for X, Y, and Z because we want the ultimate in clarity. No stone unturned, right? That's the whole premise behind this. So they're making sure that they are doing everything. So they're not just happy with the SEC backing off, they're now taking the offensive and going, okay, we want clarity, we're going to force clarity within the courts, and we're going to get those clarity within the regs. So no, we're not backing off our appeal. That's a smart move. Now, is there any risk involved? No, I mean, it just drags things out. It does cost the lawyer's fees and stuff like that, but it will keep XRP relevant. Because think about that, compare XRP to some of your favorites out there. One of the biggest things that's kept XRP relevant, that's kept it within this entire ecosystem hot and spicy, is what? It's the case. So now you're going to keep getting case updates, which is going to be good. It's going to be keeping XRP relevant, and we're going to be getting clarity, and we're going to be sticking it to the man, Gary the man. Even though he's out the door, yeah, we're undoing the mess that he did. Now, in terms of Tornado Cash, huge fan of the OFAC getting rid of sanctions regarding that. Look, it's open source code, and not everyone uses crypto for naughty stuff. Not everyone uses the US dollar cash for naughty stuff either. Some people do, some people don't. Maybe people launder money with PSA 10 Pokemon cards. Maybe that's the deal. Should Pokemon cards then be put on the sanction list? I mean, no, better not. So yes, good news all around. We just need the volume to turn around. The ETFs have turned around, so maybe next week we get that volume starting to come back in and the interest starts to come back into the market. Now, do you want to know how I feel in regards to this? I'm not talking about for the YouTube algorithms, no. I'm talking about deep dive, how I feel personally, unedited while it's up on the screen. Check it out. Until then, yeah, I'm happy to bring more good news. Choo-choo, bitches.